tour. It's hard. So we do take it really out of 1,000 intern applications, we take 2 with a tour, and it's hard because so many people want to come back and work on the Warped Tour. Usually, it's you get involved with a band, do their merchandise first. I mean, because anyone that can survive the merchandise world, that's the hard job out there. You come in, there's this kid Joe that is kind of awesome. He's in a band that was just tagging along on the Warped Tour to sell his food stuff. This kid's been in the production office, and he shows up every morning. He's the first one there, setting up the table. I just took him over to the horse track because I gave out the award, and he came as our photographer. And I'm like, you're better than the intern I brought. I said, if it doesn't work out in bands, I'll have a job, back through. That's where I'm at. And this being, Asbury Park was where we started. And I think for me, a lot of it was, we played in the Stone Pony, the club, believe it or not. Some of you might have, I don't know if anyone was ever there, but it was you've seen the Stone Pony?
Yeah.
Like, picture the club, the Stone Pony, and everything fitting within the outside, like the length of the Stone Pony around, and then that little back parking lot where they've done shows. That was the whole thing. And basically the Stone Pony was like a fort. Everything was in there, catering, production, everything, and the little stage was inside there. So, but I also, that was a point in my life where I was like, it was a tough year the first year. I mean, we weren't getting, but there was actually, I think, 2,000 people came to the show. And I was like, wow, this is awesome. And there was that picture someone gave me from the roof of the Stone Pony. So, through the years, the Asbury Park thing was fantastic, and then we kind of outgrew Asbury Park, and then moving over to Englishtown. Asbury Park shows were those were like, for a kid from California to see a place like Asbury Park for the first time, it was mind-boggling. We shot like a video there once, and the Specials, you guys might know that band, Ghost Town. We shot Ghost Town, and there was all these buildings out in the back, and it looked like all those old buildings, and there was fires burning out, where like homeless people were cooking, eating in there, and you just saw like these images of the band. It was really beautiful. So you kind of remember, that's the memories, and then today, waking up here and going, wow, this place is cool. My first memory of me like riding my bike and meeting a lady crabbing this morning. she showed me how to catch blue crabs this morning. That was kind of fun. And the difference between a male and female blue crab and the female's back. So, I mean, that's really, you build your tours. I mean, moving a show like this, if you don't capture those moments, then it just becomes a job. Never a musician. I have a way to hear songs, like I can hear music, but I can't put it down. And I was a really bad skateboarder, and but I hung out with a lot of them. So eventually that turned. I was one of the only guys that could sign something, could get a house rented once. So we had to pay our bills, and we started working concerts. But I love music. I mean, it's heart in my heart. It's a thread. That's what I'm saying. I've been able to take a constant thread, because I was probably going to be a school teacher after the first Warped Tour. That was my plan. But now I think I've kind of gone back to, I go teach now. I get to go tour at colleges sometimes and speak. I speak at high schools, and you're still teaching out on the road now. Never take it for granted. Work on it every day. If you're going to do something, do it well, or as best to your abilities. I think, by me being at every show, being out here, I can deal with things very quickly, and I can make decisions, right or wrong, but I can make them. For so many things, the guy who might be in charge would be sitting at his beach house somewhere, trying to make a decision of what's going on at your show right now. And you sacrifice to do that, I guess, being on the road. It's also a great time to be out. Nothing better than getting on the bus at night. Tomorrow I get to go fishing in Boston, then I get to do a show on Tuesday, and the next day I'm in Virginia Beach. And get to hang out with like-minded people. People that work on this tour work really hard. They give a crap about what they're doing every day. Sometimes you go into Subway and the guy doesn't even put the mayonnaise on the sandwich right. That's what drives me crazy. Things that, if you have a job, do it well. We're supposed to do 600,000 tickets. This is about all this. We did 598,000 last year. The year before we did 623. This year we're going to fall probably right in that 600,000. I mean, some cities are up, some are down. Definitely feeling the economy. I mean, I think there's a lot of people that they just can't. Even though I feel that we're delivering a great value for the day and everything. The chatter was really what it came down to was, last year I was out there and I set the ticket price and I I set our tour budget, and all of a sudden, gas prices went crazy. We went out on June 17th last year. That's when the first press hit about the $10 gasoline. Everyone's lives shut down. I don't know if everyone's, whether it's your parents or yourselves or whatever, everyone decided they weren't couldn't do anything. When you were thinking about $10 gas by the end of the year. So I had accountants telling me, first week of the tour, you need to stop using biodiesel because that was going very quick. You need to stop, you need to send a stage home. You're not, And I said, no, the Warped Tour is going to end up just fine if you have faith in it. We're not going to make as much money. We'll be fine. I also believe that acts last year, like Katy Perry and 303, were gonna, by the end of the summer, they would become very driving forces, which they did. But I'm also not going to go tell some kid, you got to go home. His dream was to be on the Warped Tour, and I got to shut your stage down and save money for this. We sucked it up, paid $290,000 extra in gas last year, and I had budgeted $4 a gallon for gas last year. And also I looked at it though, because when you book the Warped Tour, you have two stages, but it's getting hard. The headliners are hard. And it used to be that managers and labels would say, yeah, we're going to put a record out. And you could count on them to put that record out. They keep their word. But they're not doing it anymore. So you pay, I can only pay so many people as kind of, let's say, not headline, reasonable money to be out here. Everything else is developmental. Everyone's being paid, but you're out here hustling. And last year I paid a couple bands good money that didn't deliver anything. So I ended up with kind of flat main stages. I don't know if you remember last year, but those second stages were banging hard, and the main stage went soft sometimes. So I just looked at it and said, all right, I pay 18 bands this much. Let's pay 9 bands that much. Keep the talent budget right, raise it our 5% we normally do, but save 2 semi-trucks, a bus. There's 120 less people on the road right now. I don't know if you feel it, but it's not as crazy backstage this year if you were ever at a Warped Tour show. Catering line's not an hour and a half long, it's 40 minutes long. I mean, it was just, for me, it was like, how do you anticipate the future? I knew that, and I also knew the economy was way worse than I was saying. Last summer, you talked to kids, so they were like, everyone was hard up last year. So let's try to make it this year. It's worked, we've adjusted it, and I was able to book a main stage. Like, it's hard when you have to put Chiodos on at 11:55. Or you have to put on fly. There's 9 or 10 great bands on that. That's a real serious festival in itself, that main stage.
Tell us about the emergence of the nonprofits. Since
I've always been involved in, for me, it's always been a bit about charity. Ever since I've worked in the clubs for 12 years before I started this tour, and we were constantly doing, Rock the Boat. We were doing, Board Aid, for breast cancer. I was always involved in charities, and ever since the Warped Tour has been, in inception, 25 cents of every ticket's gone to charity. That's turned into one of my Mayhem festivals, Taste of Chaos tours. Anything I've ever done on my other tours now does that. In the meantime, because I believe when people are having fun, ultimately, they can learn. I think we've lost that in our public school system a lot because it's tough to go to public schools in a lot of markets. I don't know where you guys went, but kids aren't having fun in school, so they're not open-minded. You create a great fun atmosphere, and you can distill things. It's funny when Amnesty International comes up to me and goes, it took me years to get them involved in this because they said that's too crazy. Look at your show, and now they say it's their most active recruiting time because people are generally having fun. Their minds are much open when they're having fun. If you're not worried about getting your ass kicked by some bully or some gang or something like that or some problem, the pressures of being in high school, you can come in here and you have an open mind. You're seeing the most rad band you ever wanted to see in your life, and all of a sudden it's like you see Amnesty International and you go, hey, what are you guys about? I mean, and then some people can also say how I fund this thing too is helping with the corporate sponsors keep the ticket price down, and ultimately they're trying to sell you something. But you know what? Maybe you're going to be open-minded at the same way. But the nonprofits, and then that allowed me to start my own foundation, the United Foundation, and we do somewhere between $400,000 and $700,000 a year between the auctions, tickets. Every show we do all these tickets, and I always donate 4 tickets to TJ Martell, 4, cancer. People come to me all the time and say, oh, I give them a package of tickets, and you have VIP experiences backstage. So it's while I can do it, I'm pretty lucky. And it's also, we can teach the bands, and that's where the ECO program came in. Maybe the bands are going to learn something. Some of them aren't going to learn crap. They're going to do whatever they do. But maybe, you look at bands like the AKAs and Big D and Alisana, who have gotten involved in our recycling programs and everything, and now they take it on their own tours. So out, but you're only as good as your last gig. I mean, when we got and then it's like, I got, that's the thing. Come on, I got 14-year-olds telling me I suck all the time. So it's like, you just can't take it that seriously, But you also have to be able to say, yeah, I've gotten to do what I love to do for now 28 years. And I still do it on my own terms. I haven't sold myself to Live Nation or an AEG or any of these big companies. But now they've all realized, don't put Kevin Lyman out of business. Let him do what he does, and he makes us a lot of money.
Yeah.
So when you can pick up the phone and call these people and tell them you're screwing it up with all these no service charge, $10 more, all these, you are messing up the kids. Deliver value when they'll come to your shows. And it's tough. We're in a tough situation right now because we're down to a few promoters in this country, and they really don't get it. Because most of my shows, I take no guarantee. Most bands, like let's say Kid Rock or someone's out there on the road right now, they're showing up and they're getting $500,000 guarantee to show up. The Warped Tour takes $25,000. I've always taken $25,000. That's supposed to pay for my catering. It doesn't come close anymore. But it's more of a token, but then I'm willing to earn our money. So it's not a big gamble to put on the Warped Tour for a lot of these people. So when I say I want to do my $19.99 pre-sale ticket through the internet, they're like, well, Kevin, I'm sure you could charge more. I'm going, nope, the first 1,000 kids or 500 are going to get that. And I believe that value. Now we are in this situation because everyone's scrambling because they're paying. It's a whole class I could teach you. But it's just what's going on is survival mode for a lot of these people right now. Yeah, when they're paying, they're just in survival mode and they're making a lot of bad business decisions. People are going, gosh, should you do? And I go, I think in 15 years, the Warped Tour, if a kid came to the door today and had to pay $40, they don't really complain. And people don't realize that out of that $40, I get to see a portion of 23 of it because a lot of it's surcharges, parking, and all these other things. So the Warped Tour has to try to make it down the road at $23 a day per person. And I'm part of that, 85% of that. That's why you see AT&T, and that's why you see Xbox, and that's why I can say that, everyone says you sold out. I go, I sold out in 1996 after the first year when bands got along.
Yeah.
Now I'm just trying to figure out how to get a kid in here and two $20 bills, and I know it's tough, and there's some kids that can't come this year, and that hurts, but I can't all of a sudden do something too drastic to this brand, because things hopefully will come back around where people learn how to save. We go into poor towns for a long time. We go to Detroit every year, and it's one of our biggest towns.
Yeah.
The kids in Detroit have been poor for many, many years. There's not a lot, but they've learned to save their $40 to come to the Warped Tour. And I don't feel bad that someone's paying $40 to come to the show. Because I go to those shows and you might see 3 of these bands and it's going to cost you $30.
It's been moved. In Detroit, it sort of moved from originally downtown Pontiac,
which we
to
overwhelmed our whole place.
Yeah.
Pontiac, we couldn't fit a tenth of what we have now in Pontiac. We believe it or not, we played the roof in Pontiac.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Oh yeah, I remember that.
On that roof of that parking garage, I had to haul everything up that elevator. It sucked. But then we moved downtown Pontiac, which I loved. That was a great place. And then we went out to the Silverdome parking lot, which we had some of our biggest Warped Tour shows ever there. And then they were going to blow up the Silverdome. And
it's still there.
It's still there, and they're going to build homes. Speculation. We're going to build, now they've asked me, Kevin, come back. Come do the Silverdome. Use the parking lot. Pay us $10,000. You're going to have it. And I go, we turned downtown. I think downtown Detroit, I feel bad for it because they tried so hard to fix up that city, and they were revitalized. It's cool. The new stadium, the bar, the State Theater, all those rad places. And just Detroit. Problem is if we don't look at Detroit, we're going to have many Detroits in this country. I mean,
where do you see the festival in 15 years?
God, if I'm still doing it, I'll be a really old dragging myself around these parking lots,
Would you ever give it, hand over the festival to someone else?
It's never going to be to a peer. It's going to be to our children. I mean, I have a lot of guy friends. My daughter's 14 now, and she picked 2 bands on this tour, White Tie Affair and Sing It Loud this year. She kind of helped me pick those bands because that's what she I have to accept that. It's going to be someone like that. I don't know. Maybe I'll just keep doing it. Better than playing Wii at the old folks' home. They can